Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Mother-in-law breaks into my house, so I call the cops on her. After that, I have to punch in on the clock? Fine, pay me overtime. And after that, I got my jerk ex-friend kicked out of our friend group. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to break into anyone's house. But breaking into people's homes is one of my favorite weekend activities. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Mother-in-law breaks in my house, so I called the cops on her. I, 27 female, split from my soon-to-be ex-husband, who's 27 male, 3 months ago on the day that our son was born. This is because I'm ginger, my husband is blonde, but our baby came out with dark hair. He freaked out in the delivery room and his behavior got him kicked out of the hospital. I had to beg him to do a paternity test and he finally agreed to after a month, and it proved that I did not cheat. We had been together since we were 13, so I was devastated and all I wanted was him back. But I've come to my senses and decided that someone who believed that school-level Punnett squares are the be-all and end-all of biological inheritance is not the type of person that I want to be with. I was also treated like crap by everyone but my older brother, Alex, while we were waiting for the results, because they all thought that I had cheated. It was a horrible experience, and as a result, I've lost many friends and family members. Since the results came back, my ex has been begging me to get back with him. I moved in with Alex after we split, and he comes almost every day to beg me to get back with him. My in-laws have also been harassing me too, especially my mother-in-law, who's come over 4 times in the past week asking me to forgive her son and to let God back into my heart. I used to be a Christian, and so are all of my in-laws and my family, but how I was treated when my baby was born made me lose faith fast. The whole church community treated me like trash during this whole ordeal, and it made me want nothing to do with them anymore, and I don't want to raise my son in that sort of a community. Yesterday, my mother-in-law turned up to Alex's when he wasn't here, and she had the pastor from the church I used to attend with them. They practically forced their way in, and I was being berated for not forgiving my ex's lapse in judgment. The pastor basically sat there and said that I would be going to heck if I didn't take my ex back. I excused myself to the bathroom and called the police. Pastor and mother-in-law were escorted out. Now, I'm being harassed on social media and being called and texted by literally everyone that knows both me and my ex and his family. They're calling me the jerk for going nuclear and calling the police on 2 people who weren't being threatening, and they're demanding that I apologize immediately. I'm starting to feel bad now because I know they care in their own twisted way and I shouldn't have gone nuclear on them. Am I the jerk? You know what? Social media is vastly overrated. Why don't you take a break from it for a week or a year or 2 and mute your phone? Nobody's saying anything new. Your husband and his community of flying monkeys treated you abominably. Thank God for DNA tests to prove that you aren't a cheater. By their actions, they all showed their true selves. You don't have to accept their demand that you get over it and forgive them. Your loving husband may say that he's sorry now, but take him to court and make him sorry. Best of luck, not the jerk. Agreed 100%. Granted, he might not ever do something like this again in his lifetime if you were to take him back. Then again, you might sneeze in front of him wrong one day and get the same treatment. And the actions of your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law and pastor are unforgivable. They both should be ashamed of themselves. Of course, they don't see it that way and they never will. Not the jerk. Move on with your life. Find someone who respects you and whose family isn't cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's odd no one has heard that kids are often born with different colored hair. I'm blonde and my ex was blonde as a kid. Our son was born with almost black hair, then it slowly lightened up to almost white. He was a total towhead and is still dark blonde in his mid-20s. There was never a question about his paternity regardless. These people are ridiculous and I'd cut them all out of my life. Focus on my now baby and move on. In case anyone wondered, you don't go to heck for not taking an ex-jerk back either. Forget them. Not the jerk. Christians, you say? The sooner you get away from this circus, the better. Don't apologize, don't look back. They are not worth your time. You did nothing wrong at all, whatsoever. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I have to punch in on the clock? Fine, pay me overtime. I, 31 male, started working for my uncle 2 years ago. He has a company with some business partners, and I work directly under him, learning every perk of running the business and also being a personal assistant to him. We settled on a contract in which I'd receive a fixed monthly amount with a bonus of an additional salary by the end of every year. While I had no overtime pay, I had total control over my work schedule. And by total, I mean total. I could come to the job just 3 days a week as long as I delivered results. My husband knew my work ethic, so it was kind of a win for him since when needed, I'd work 60 to 65 hours a week if required. I could also work during a holiday, and I was available on call nearly 24/7 if anyone needed anything from me related to work. Work was running great until September of last year, when my uncle took a couple of days to travel to another state to meet new clients. One of his associates, let's call him Gordon, took his role in the company for those days to support some of his roles. Due to having worked a 14-hour shift the day before the travel, and also having had 2 12-hour shifts the week before, I was dead tired. Since we had little to no work piled up, I took an early leave the first day he was there and arrived way after lunch the day after. I then started working normally from the third day until he came back a week later. He was furious at my attitude, berating my uncle for even contracting me in the first place, since I don't even work full regular hours, and he demanded, among the other business partners, the company has 6 total owners, including my uncle, that I at least punch in my working hours. If I don't meet the quota, those would be deducted from my monthly payment. There are a ton of labor laws where I live, and employees have a certain amount of hours required to work each month. Every hour short of that is deducted from the monthly payment, and every hour beyond is paid as overtime. Other partners backed up Gordon's claim, stating that I needed more supervision on what I was doing, which my uncle was forced to comply with. His only remark was, "Since we're doing it by law, it means that we also will pay him overtime according to the law, right?" They all agreed, and from October forward, I would start punching my hours in on the job every day. Cue the malicious compliance. That was exactly what I did. Gordon was expecting a decrease in my pay due to being in the company at my least busy week since I arrived, but in fact, I usually pull tons of overtime. Also, if they need to call me after I left, they have to punch in the hours from the moment I left until I finish the call, resulting in free overtime pay. One more thing. By law, the rate of overtime pay increases the more overtime is done in a month. It's a really weird formula, but to simplify, my average overtime hours pay 1/3 higher than the average overtime hours of other employees who have the same monthly salary as me. My monthly income is now 30% higher due to the overtime I started receiving. In a busy month, that could even get close to 50% higher, even though I'm actually working a little less than before. Gordon can't go back to the same situation as before, since my uncle made sure that once I started punching my hours, there was no going back and all partners approved. I got my jerk ex-friend kicked out of our friend group. I, 24 female, have epilepsy. I have a service dog, fully certified, who's trained to help me with my seizures. I've been diagnosed since I was a kid, and I've had my current dog, Bailey, for 4 years now, and she's the bestest girl around. Before Bailey, I had a previous service dog who we had to retire due to age, but having a service animal is by no means new for me. With her being a service dog, she's obviously always with me. I have a core friend group who hangs out quite often. My one friend, let's call her Anna, also 24 female, always makes really weird and almost passive-aggressive comments about me and Bailey. Example, "Dogs shouldn't come to restaurants. You're inconveniencing people," etc. She doesn't get that I legitimately need her for my own safety. It's not just for show. My seizures are really regular. For context, I actually get 2 different kinds. My small ones are petite mal seizures. This essentially just looks like I'm zoning out and staring into space. Quite often, people who don't know me wouldn't even connect this. My big ones are my main concern. These are facial seizures where I fully lose consciousness. This can happen a couple times a day for me, so it's obviously really important that I manage it to the best of my abilities. Anyways, our friend Anna wanted to host a game night type of thing at her house. When we got there, she lost it on me. She told me it was incredibly disrespectful that I showed up with Bailey without asking for permission first, that I can't just assume people will be happy with a dog always being around, that I should have just stayed home if I couldn't handle being out for a few hours without Bailey. I tried apologizing and pointing out that I assumed she knew I was bringing her since I've never gone anywhere without her. That set her off even more. The guys were finally able to calm her down, but her compromise was that I had to put Bailey in the backyard. I was an idiot and said fine because I didn't want to inconvenience anyone more or continue stirring the pot. Bailey went outside and I returned inside with my friends. I ended up having a seizure, blacking out and hitting my head on the floor. I had to go to the hospital because of how hard I had hit my head. I guess my friend group absolutely went off on Anna for calling her hateful and toxic and a jealous jerk. I guess she was trying to say that I passed out for the attention and I got my way like always. Long story short, no one wants her around anymore. Since this happened to her, her sister and mom have been blowing up my phone, calling me the jerk and demanding I fix the situation, and it's honestly getting to me. So, Reddit, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She sounds awful, to be honest. Your friend group was right to stick up for you. Her behavior was deplorable. Not the jerk. She literally caused you to suffer a medical incident. She had so little regard for your health and well-being that she caused you actual harm. I'd be sending her, her mom, and her sisters copies of the medical bill and then cutting them off completely. Not the jerk. I really hope you're okay after the seizure and also hitting your head. I have to commend your willingness to compromise that you'd risk getting hurt and then actually getting hurt. I know it's not intentional, but it sure got your point across. If your friend was a normal person, she would have apologized after the incident, but she doubled down and said you did it essentially on purpose. I think this is where she lost everyone. Am I the jerk for not wanting to sell my sister's horse? I'm 21, male. My sister, Layla, 21, female, has owned her horse since she was 7 years old. A little over 3 years ago, my sister had an accident in a sport which landed her in a coma. Layla's horse is boarded about a 4-hour drive from where I and most of our family live. My older brother, Jacob, 29, male, and his mom live less than an hour away from the stable. The horse is fully trained and Layla used to compete with him. The arrangement has always been that most of the horse's expenses would be paid for by Jacob's mom. Our dad isn't in the picture for any of us, as well as my mom and stepdad. After Layla's accident, Jacob started contributing financially to the horse's needs and even started riding him. Last week, my parents asked me if we could have a talk. When I got to my parents' house, my best friend and Layla's long-term boyfriend, Thomas, who's 21, was also there, and he didn't know why he was called over either. My parents pretty bluntly told the both of us that they were going to sell Layla's horse because it's unlikely that she'll ever wake up again, and it's not reasonable to keep putting money into the animal. I asked if they had spoken to Jacob or his mom about this, since they're the horse's primary caretakers and put a fair amount of money and time in as well. My parents said that they hadn't spoken to Jacob or his mom, and they shouldn't have to because it's Layla's horse and they're her parents. Thomas disagreed with this and offered to contribute financially to the horse, as well as driving up to take care of him. If and when Layla does wake up, she's going to want to know her horse is okay. I agreed with Thomas and put out the same offer. My parents told the both of us that we're not thinking clearly, and it's better for everyone if the horse is just sold. This decision didn't sit right with me since I called Jacob and asked what he thought about the matter. Jacob wants to keep the horse, and so does his mother, and his mom has said that she will fully pay for the horse's expenses by herself if it comes down to it. My parents told Jacob that he just needs to get over it because it's not his choice and hung up on him. Once the call had ended, my parents said that I was completely wrong for calling Jacob for his opinion and that they're disappointed in both Thomas and I for even considering keeping the horse. Both my parents are upset now. They won't answer my calls and have also seemed to cut contact with Thomas, who was like a son to them. Am I the jerk for going against my parents on wanting to sell my sister's horse and asking my brother his opinion on it? Edit for more info. The horse had nothing to do with Layla's accident. She was athletic and involved in multiple sports at the time. As far as I know, my parents are completely fine with money, though it is possible that they're just not telling me something. I'm not 100% sure as to who has the most legal rights to the horse because we've always called him Layla's and never really talked further about it, but I assume he belongs to my parents. Thomas and I are both in ongoing therapy. Therapy was suggested to my mom a lot back when the accident first happened, but I don't think she ever went, and my stepdad refuses to go. Both myself and Thomas still regularly go see Layla and spend hours, if not the full day with her. The main reason for keeping so much hope is that occasionally there'll be the slightest movements, yet obviously non-responsive, or her heart rate will slightly pick up. My parents don't go see her very often anymore, but they still ask both of us about how she is. I don't know if it's relevant, but Layla and I are twins, and she had been dating Thomas since she was 13 and he was 14, which explains the extra attachment. Other people do interact with the horse. He's properly groomed, and those of Layla's friends who also boarded their horses there, as well as sometimes the owners of the stable, will pet him and take him out into the paddock when they bring their own horses out and bring him in again. Layla has been in the coma for 3 years. Not the jerk. Can you, Thomas, Jacob, and his mom pool enough money and buy the horse for Jacob and his mom? You're all already putting money into the horse's care, or willing to do so. 3 years ago? I don't think this question is really about a horse. Maybe it's more about realizing that your sister probably won't come out of her coma. I believe that starting a fight about this horse is just a diversion for you and could only lead in some bad directions for all concerned. I urge you to try to come to an understanding that your parents have control over what happens to their daughter and her things at this point, especially. I also think therapy would be a great idea for you. No jerks here. Your sister is unable to ever ride her horse again. Best case scenario, she would need extensive physical and occupational therapy if she comes out of the coma, and she may never be able to or want to ride a horse again. Selling the horse is not giving up on her. Selling the horse isn't abandoning hope for her or betraying her. If Jacob wants to buy the horse, that's probably a good solution. Am I the jerk for stepping away from gift giving with my stepkids? I, 50 female, have been in a relationship with my husband, 52 male, for several years. We've been married a year, and there have been many gift-giving situations throughout. I've always been the one to make things happen. Someone wants something, I figure out how to get it done. I've always been involved in the gift selection process for his kids, who are both in their mid to late 20s. On my side of the family, we've never done the step words, and as it pertains to them, it's always been the kids or our kids. I've used it in this title in case you feel it's pertinent. So here's my issue. In each of these instances, I do not get a thank you. I barely get a vague acknowledgement. I did get an awkward, thanks, I guess, on one birthday. Gift giving has been mostly initiated and pre-planned by me. I usually enjoy it. I know it's not that the gifts have not been good gifts. I have overheard on more than one occasion one or both of them bragging about what their dad got them and how he's really stepped up his gift-giving game these days. It's hurtful. There's a lot of real estate between a hearty pat on the back and the disrespect that I feel. Something in the middle would be nice. I pay attention throughout the year to what they state their current interests are, an item they drool over, causes they like to support, etc., and what I would give for just a look me in the eye thank you sometimes. Most recently, one had a baby shower, and there were multiple tables full of gifts from 55 different people. 54 of them got a thank you. Guess who didn't? The slight was so obvious that another woman turned around, laughed, and said, "They didn't say it, so I will. Thank you." Yeah, not funny, but I'll play it off. It's all good, haha, pregnancy brain. I get excited about gift giving and how much they'll love something, and I just end up feeling lousy afterwards. Honestly, now that I'm typing this out, I realize that they know proper etiquette. It really is that they just don't think it applies to me for some reason. So, am I the jerk for telling their dad that I will never disapprove of any money he wants us to spend on anything he wants to give to his kids? I'm just no longer comfortable putting myself in that position when there is so little or no appreciation. I'll try to thicken my skin over this, and I'm hopeful that eventually I will resume my current level of active participation. But for now, it's okay to step back, right? Honestly, you really need to look at your husband here. He can set the tone very quickly. Whether it works or not would remain to be seen. But the fact that he's not stepping up on his own is a huge red flag. A lot of jerks in this story, but you ain't one. Not the jerk. Not the jerk. Their dad should have addressed this a long time ago, and it's cruel to think you should continue doing it. A simple generic thank you would suffice. I'm at a loss over their rudeness, unless you're the reason their parents' marriage ended. Am I the jerk for telling a lady to get off a machine at the gym if she wasn't going to use it? There are 2 lat pull-down setups at our gym, and it's a very busy gym. I, 33 female, was working out on a machine behind the lat pull-downs and saw this lady, probably in her early 40s, very fit, sitting on one of the machines, chatting away, not doing a single rep. The other lat pull-down was occupied by 2 guys going pretty hard. A little background. This lady does this all the time. She loves to sit on a machine and not use it and chat with people. Once the conversation is done, she'll eventually start her workout. The number of times I've waited for her on the leg press while she chatted away not using the machine, I digress. Back to the story. I saw a timid girl, probably late teens to early 20s, shyly, very politely asked the lady if she could work in. The lady said no, that she hadn't used it yet. The girl walked away looking embarrassed. I got hot. I called out the lady and said with very clear irritation, "Excuse me, ma'am. Hey, it's very busy right now. I've watched you sit on this machine for at least the last 5 minutes chatting to your buddy without doing a single rep. If you're not going to use it, it's messed up to not let someone else in." The lady told me I was rude, but got up and let the other girl, who mouthed to me a thank you, in. The lady also reported me to management for being rude. Didn't affect my membership, just a quick word from an employee. And now this lady proceeds to glare at me anytime she sees me in the gym. When I told my friend, they said that the lady was obviously messed up, but it was not my place to say anything to her. Also that my condescending tone would have riled anyone up. Why I may be the jerk, it was none of my business. I knew neither of the people. I shouldn't have talked to her that way. I could have used a more friendly tone and more productive language. Not the jerk. And we need more people like you. Thank you. People like that contribute to the general anxiety around the gym for the people who have a hard time being forward. Be forward. Not the jerk. Here, I say something petty. Next time you see her camping out on equipment, go report her for being rude. Gym staff may think you just have it out for her for reporting you, but this crap needs to stop. Karen mother demands the password to my safe. My uncle and my mom have been arguing over this, and I feel terrible. I don't know what to think. So, my mom let me get anything under $25 for Easter, given it's on Amazon. I got a small mini ATM of sorts. It has a 4-digit passcode and makes noise when someone attempts to open it, and even louder if you fail. Plus, it automatically sucks in your money, like an ATM would. I had been looking at this for a while, saving up my allowance and planning to get it. Since it was under the price range, I asked and she got it for me. It came in yesterday and I put the batteries in, set the code, and already put the money I had in it. I get a $10 allowance, and if I do certain tasks, I get an extra $10 to $20, which is only about $10 right now. My mom asked for the password, which frankly I thought was a joke, so I told her a fake one. I just thought it was her messing with me and trying to get me to laugh. She came home today and did her inspection of my room. I've been spending the past few days working on the rest of the house, so I haven't gotten a chance to do it. I didn't think she would try anything, so I continued making myself some sandwiches for a late brunch. It was 10 a.m. I couldn't care less. Then I heard the noise it made when you failed the passcode. I tested it night prior just in case and rushed to my room. What I see is my mom trying to get into it, then turned to me and glared. "You told me the password was 1234. Why isn't it working?" I was confused and taken back. Like, who expects this from their mom? I got upset as well and yelled at her to get out of my room and walk away from my money. She left in a huff, and when my uncle came home, he got his ear talked off, practically yelled at for it. He says I shouldn't have lied, but I didn't have to give her the passcode. Now the two are arguing, and I feel really bad for causing it. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk at all. Your mother is angry with you because she couldn't break into what amounts to your piggy bank and steal your allowance. That's some next level jerk behavior. OP. She wouldn't even be stealing it back. It's my uncle who pays me and started my whole allowance anyways, not her. So, not stealing it back, just stealing it. Kid, you gobsmacked me. My jaw just hit the desk. There are no words I can actually say that won't get me thrown off of this sub except, your mother is queen of the jerks. May no one ever rise to take her place. It doesn't get lower than stealing money from your kid that other people have given them for their own daily spending. Entitled mom tries taking my necklace, gets kicked out of the doctor's office. For some context, since last year, I've been sick. At first, we thought I'd need surgery. However, the doctor wanted to check something out first and sent me to another doctor. After a couple months of testing, this was the last one I needed. I also had messed up my leg during this time, and it made it extremely hard to walk on my own. My doctor had suggested I buy a cane, which I did. Another thing about me, while I'm an adult, I have an extreme baby face syndrome. People have thought that I was an 8th grader while I'm a freshman in college. My height of 5 feet doesn't help that either. Now with context, let's get on to the story. We've got me, Peach. We've got the nice boy, we've got entitled mother, and we've got the security guard. I'm sitting in the doctor's office, waiting for me to get called back. The doctor's office was absolutely packed, so it took a while for me to get called back. After 5 minutes of waiting, a 7-year-old boy and a mom walk in and check in. Both sit down in front of me, and I don't really think anything of it. I move my cane more towards me in order to avoid them tripping and look at the TV as I wait. After a couple minutes, I hear a small voice speak. "Excuse me." I look down from the TV and see the boy across from me looking at me. Me. "Yes, can I help you?" Nice boy. "How come you have a cane?" The mother looks up from her phone and looks at me, then him. Karen. "Don't ask people those questions." Me. "Oh, it's okay. I don't mind people asking. I had an injury and the cane helps me walk." Nice boy. "Does it hurt when you walk?" Me. "Sometimes, but the cane helps." I know kids tend to be naturally curious, so I didn't take his comments as rude. After he asked, we started talking about how our days were, our age, and eventually got to talking about the birds. The kid was an absolute encyclopedia about birds and told me a lot of facts about birds. One of my favorite he told me is that a toucan's skin is actually more translucent, which is crazy. Nice boy noticed my necklace, which is a metal raven, and said, "Wow, I like your necklace. Is it a raven or a crow skull?" Me. "It's a raven skull. You know a lot about birds. That's really awesome." "Yeah, I really like entitled mom cut him off." "Excuse me?" I looked to her. She had this look of pure hate and disgust. Me. "Yes? Is there something wrong?" Karen. "Why are you wearing a skull around your neck? That's kind of inappropriate, don't you think?" Me. "No, it's just a metal raven skull. Nothing inappropriate about it." "It's kind of evil, isn't it?" What? Her saying that blew me out of the water. In what world is wearing something like a metal bird skull evil? Me. "Ma'am, it's just a necklace. It's nice. I liked it. I bought it." Karen. "You really need to take it off. You're going to corrupt my son. We're Christian." Looking over to the kid, he looked as dumbfounded as I was. The boy. "Mama, it's just a necklace." "Be quiet." Then she tells me, "You need to take that off right now and give it to me. Also, you look too young to be using a cane. You're just wanting attention." Me, taking none of her BS. "Ma'am, I'm not giving you my necklace or my cane. And if anything, you're the one wanting attention, and you're ignorant for thinking that just because my necklace has a bird skull on it that it's evil. Also for thinking young people can't have a cane just because they're young. Young people use things such as canes and walkers all the time." "How dare you talk back to me?" At this point, she got up and tried to grab my cane and necklace. I was ready to push her back, but the security guard who was coming inside for some water stepped in between entitled mom and me. Security guard. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to sit down and leave this person alone." "What? No, they're evil. I'm trying to free them from the devil." Security guard. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now, this kind of behavior isn't tolerated here." "But my son has an appointment. I can't leave him here." Security guard. "Can you call his father? If not, you will have to reschedule." Nice boy. "My dad's in the car." At that point, security guard escorted entitled mom out of the building, and Nice boy's dad came in to watch his son. Nice boy's dad apologized profusely for his wife's behavior and stated that she was a little eccentric. After 10 more minutes, I was called back and said goodbye to the boy. After my appointment, he and his dad were gone and I went on my way. Something that I think is funny, however, is what Nice boy's dad had said regarding entitled mom. I don't even know why she said it was evil. She's not even Christian. She's an atheist. I kicked my best man out of my wedding for his gamer talk about my fiance. I, 35 male, am engaged to May, 35 female. My best friend, Andre, 35 male, is the best man. Fake names. First, details. May is a huge anime and gamer nerd. Like, huge. We're all gamers, but she has like every system under the sun and loves playing video games, including the retro ones like Tetris and Sonic. She's also into MMORPGs, like Final Fantasy, JRPGs like the Tales of series, and games like My Time at Portia and Animal Crossing. May and Andre have always gotten along, but they never actually hung out near video games together. I had him and 2 of our other friends over for a couple of beers and cigars. Andre heard May turn on her Switch, and he asked if she had Super Smash Brothers. She said yes, and Andre said, "Let me show you a thing or two," in a joking manner. I warned Andre that he was going to get thrashed, to which he made the comment, "Girl gamers don't scare me." No, May did not hear him. Well, May suited up with Yoshi, and she absolutely destroyed all of them without trying. They asked her to change characters. She went to young Link, then Peach, then Jigglypuff, then Roy, and lastly her favorite character, Ness. Beat them all. Now I'll admit, my friends have short tempers with gaming. I could see they were frustrated, so I proposed we do something else. Everyone except Andre was done with the games. He proposed they play Tetris, free on the Switch and already downloaded. And once again, Andre lost. Hard, like extra hard, painfully hard. To put it short, he got completely thrashed. May won first place in 2-player every game. Andre stopped playing, and they all went home afterwards, annoyed. I don't think May noticed. Later on, Andre and my friends invited May to a game of Rainbow Six. May gladly accepted and chose her favorite, Frost. They played the private party matches, and she basically was always the last one standing. May told the guys she was going to take a bathroom break and put her headset down. I asked May if I could play the next round. She agreed, and I put on her headset, only to hear my friends talking trash about her. They were saying things like, "Why are girls such tryhards?" and "She's good at gaming, but I bet she can't make a sandwich." Now, they didn't know I was there, so I spoke and told them to shut up. Andre laughed and said they were just joking, and I said that's not funny, and what if May came back and heard them? He said it's just gamer talk, and I said it wasn't. Andre told me I was being a jerk and dragging down the group. He also told me they wouldn't be talking smack if I told May to stop trying so hard. Long story short, after an argument, I kicked Andre out of the wedding. I turned the PS4 off. When May asked why it was off, I said the others got off, but I didn't tell her what they said. Our friends were saying I was overreacting and they didn't mean it, but I honestly don't care. It just made me so mad. Am I the jerk? Did I overreact? Edit. I do plan to tell May what happened. This only happened last night, and she's at her mom's right now. I plan to tell her tomorrow. Gamer talk, bro talk, locker room talk. Try and associate it with whatever culture or subculture you want. It's all hateful regardless. Not the jerk. Yep, not the jerk. Good on you for standing up for her. If the bros weren't so immature, maybe they could find someone besides their moms to make them a sandwich. Bravo to you. Tell them bros to turn off mom's basement light when they're done. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.